Our reading this morning is from Botany of Desire by David Poland. If you happen to find yourself on the banks of the Ohio River on a particular afternoon in the spring of 1806, you would probably have noticed a strange makeshift craft drifting lazily down the river. The particular craft you'd have caught sight of that afternoon consisted of a pair of hollowed-out logs that had been lashed together to form a rough catamaran, a sort of canoe plus a sidecar. In one of the dugouts lounged the figure of a skinny man of about 30, who may have or may not have been wearing a burlap coffee sack for a shirt and a tin pot for a hat. The other hull, his sidecar, was riding low in the water under the weight of a small mountain of seeds. The fellow snoozing in the canoe was John Chapman, already well known to the people of Ohio by his nickname, Johnny Appleseed. The image of John Chapman and his heap of apple seeds riding together down the Ohio had stayed with me since I first came across it a few years ago. The scene for me has the resonance of myth, a myth about how plants and people learn to use each other, in the bargain, changing each other and improving their common lot. More than most of us do, Chapman seemed to have had a knack for looking at the world from the plant's point of view, you might say. He understood he was working for the apples as much as they were working for him. Perhaps that's why he sometimes likened himself to a bumblebee, and why he would rig up his boat the way he did. Instead of towing a shipment of seeds behind him, Chapman lashed the two hulls together so they could travel down the river side by side.
In the dark time of the year, they put on their coats and boots, picked up a bowl of hot spiced cider, and tramped out into the freezing cold. The sky was dark, some years full of stars, and some clouded with coming snow. Together, the whole community walked into the apple orchards and began to sing. Old apple tree will wassail thee, and hoping thou wilt bear. The Lord doth know where we may go, to be merry another year. To blow well and to bear well, so merry let us be. Let everyone drink up a cup, here's a toast to the old apple tree. High in the tree, the wassail queen climbed to place toast dipped in cider on the branches of the oldest, most fruitful apple tree. Tales told that the oldest apple tree in each orchard housed the apple tree man, a spirit who tended each orchard and helped it bear fruit every year. Now, on the last night of the Yuletide season, the community shared the cider made with the orchard's apples with the fruit of the trees. It is a blessing for a fruitful year. The wassail queen climbed down, and the whole community recited a charm. Here's to thee, old apple tree, that blooms well, that bears well. Hats full, caps full, 3 bushel bags full, and all under one tree. Hip, hip, hooray! Then the men of the village fired their guns into the air and moved on to bless the next orchard. Wassailing was, and is, a communal ritual. Everyone participated. In cider-producing regions of England, the entire community joined together to celebrate and bless the fields, orchards, and animals that fed them all year long. In UU terms, wassailing celebrates the interconnected web of life, not just as a theoretical idea, but as an embodied, lived reality. We live in an interconnected world, a world of reciprocal relationships, whether we notice them or not. In the story of the apple tree man, the farmer's son cared for his horse and his cow, his pasture and his orchards, bringing them back to health. And in exchange, the cow gave milk, the horse pulled his wagon, and the apple trees bore fruit. The farmer's son gave the trees the last of his cider as he prepared to say goodbye, and in a magical moment, the apple tree man gave him the money to save his farm. A gift for a gift. Few of us keep cows or apple orchards, but we all relate to the natural world around us. In the fall, here at UUCDC, we bless our animals that share our lives. On this New Year's Eve, we bless our more than human and animal family and friends. Our first principle affirms the inherent worth and dignity of all people, and our seventh principle calls on us to recognize the interconnected web of life. The story of the apple tree man and the practice of wassailing orchards and blessing crops put these two principles into action. As an animist, I believe that all beings have worth and dignity. After all, I rely on them as part of my personal web of life. When I breathe in, my Christmas cactus and my money tree breathe out. I give them water and a warm, sunny shelf, and they draw pollutants out of the air of my house, improving my indoor air quality. We sit together in the sun and enjoy each other's company. I talk to my plants all year. Maybe you do too. But now, at the end of the Yuletide season, I toast my plants and tell them how grateful I am that they share my life. A gift for a gift. Orchard wassails traditionally took place on Twelfth Night, at the end of the 12 days holiday between Christmas and January 6th. Why would anyone toast an apple orchard when it is dormant? Logically, one might raise a glass in the fall when the apple harvest is in, or in the spring when the trees flowered. Certainly, there are harvest festivals and spring festivals, but wassailing specifically took place in the dark time of the year. I'm sure there are many reasons for this, but to me, it is because the Yuletide season is a liminal in-between time, between the old year and the new. Even in our very hard-headed, I can only believe it if I see it, culture, even we open ourselves to the possibility of magic for a few days at the end of December. Flying reindeer, Christmas miracles, talking apple trees. Just for a moment, we allow ourselves to believe it might be possible. Myths like these tell us not the facts, but a truth about how to live a good and happy life. For just these few days, our imaginations open to allow the possibility that our houseplants can hear song and feel our love and gratitude for their presence in our lives. We wassail our plants, we wassail each other, and we reaffirm the mythic truth of the value of every person, human or other than human, and our ultimate, beautiful interconnection. We toast not only our plants and each other, but the buildings we live in and the land around us. Day in and day out, our homes shelter us and keep us safe and warm. Few things soothe the spirit like stepping into the comfort of home after a trying day in the outside world. We tend our houses, fixing leaks, vacuuming floors, swapping light bulbs, and in exchange, we build connections with seemingly inanimate objects. Perhaps in this magical holiday season, we may imagine that our houses have spirits of their own that can feel our love and gratitude for their sheltering rooms and cozy furnishings. Sitting together here in our church's sanctuary, we take a moment to open our hearts and our imagination to the feeling of sacred space. the high vaulted ceiling that liberates soaring souls, the open halls and rooms with space to hold us all, the open windows that grant us a wider perspective on the world beyond. As Ursula Le Guin interprets the Tao Te Ching, cut doors and windows to make a room. Where the room isn't, there's room for you. Truly, this building we sit in every Sunday becomes a sanctuary for our community from the troubles of the world and the difficulties of daily life. It opens itself for our shelter and inspiration. In this liminal time when apple trees talk and reindeer fly, let us bless and thank our church building for housing our joys and concerns every year. Beyond the windows of our sanctuary, we see the wider world. Year after year, the tulip and maple and oak trees behind me form a living backdrop for our speakers. We track the seasons turning through their leaves and branches. When the windows are open in warm weather, the trees breathe in the words of our hymns, and we breathe in their benediction. Some mornings, a hawk or fox passes by and blesses our service with their presence. Our wild church community sustains the work of this congregation by their presence and inspiration. An ancient cherry tree shades and shelters our children in the playground. Generations of UU-CDC children and Rose Tree Day School classes have climbed over its low-lying trunks, exploring imaginary kingdoms and learning UU values of kindness, compassion, and fair play. May the trees of our playground hear our gratitude for the nurturing space they provide to our next generation. May our children find in them the kinship that the farmer's son felt for his own apple orchard. In our memorial garden, surrounded by sheltering trees, rest our beloved dead. They return to us in moments of quiet. Their voices speak wisdom in our hearts when we feel alone and unsure. The gentle breeze carries a memory of their touch. We raise our glasses in love and greeting, for they remain a part of our community as long as memory holds them here. Our community extends across the web of life, and those strands of reciprocity and connection become more visible in the soft lights of the Yuletide season. As we begin our new year together with our more than human community, may we give our gratitude and our love to that web of life that it may give love and health in return, a gift for a gift. So now, let us share our holiday cheer and blessings with the wider world. In a moment, I will invite you all to come up, if you are willing and able, and take a glass of apple cider, but don't drink it yet. Our music director, Bob Rowland, will teach us our final wassail carol. Then Joe, Leah, and I will open our doors and windows so that our forest, our playground, and our beloved dead in the memorial garden may hear our wassail. We will raise our glasses, toast, drink, and sing to our beloved community, and then we will close with our benediction. Now please come up the center aisle, collect your glasses, and return down the side aisle.